Is there audio? Let me. Yes, there is. Okay. Should probably share this, shouldn't I? Share stream. Copy stream link. Alright, there you go. Hoard my stream out to a few servers. Hopefully get someone watching.
I carry few possessions, and I don't have room for that.
Hello, viewer. Okay. So I kind of ran through here earlier when I was following that spirit thing, which was the glowing ball. So now I'm just retracing my steps, making sure that I haven't missed any monsters, because monsters drop loot. You want the loot. The XP wouldn't hurt either. Oh. My loot filter, I need to work on my loot filter. I downloaded one, but it doesn't seem that effective. Oh dear. You don't like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. You know what I might do? I might go back to the town, because I should be able to travel back here. I might go back to the town and just... I mean, it's been... Okay. So what am I looking for? Online filters? No, it's not in there. I've actually forgotten how to set up your own web filters. I might have used a website to do it before. Alright, it's fine. It is what it is. I'll check it out when I'm not streaming. It's kind of alright at the moment, but when we get to endgame maps, the amount of loot that's on the floor it's just ridiculous. Right, have we found another checkpoint yet? No, we haven't. Oh, that's annoying. Come on, where are you? There you are. Alright, let's go and do this then. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on. Come on. We can do better than that. Hey King, how's it going? Hey, re-examination, how's it going?
I carry few possessions, and I don't have room.
Alright, yeah, I need to go back and dump all this. You missed my appearance on Tariak when I was going after Chaos Nova. I mean, I wasn't really going after him as such. I kind of forget what that conversation was about now, but it didn't seem that he was being particularly compelling. Oh, that's what he kept. It was actually, I do remember now. It was being really annoying. It was he kept switching subjects, which I haven't like noticed that people do. Often when I think they're feeling a bit defensive about whatever it is that they're arguing about. And so he was talking about causation, like he was making some sort of contingency-based argument, I think, or first cause argument. And then he kind of swept to epistemology, like mid-conversation, which is fine, but that's a different conversation.
The mighty fall.
He's not as practiced a debater. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of felt like I was having to do a reasoning 101, because he was making claims about, like, he was making claims about scientific claims, and there's, like, my view is that scientific claims are, all of them, inductive and therefore probabilistic. Even stuff that we just kind of take as like a matter of fact, it's actually probabilistic. But he didn't seem to like that idea. Yeah, I don't mind doing that necessarily, but I think it can come across as being a bit
I must maintain a fine balance.
arrogant. All right. If I had to define spiritual in a manner that I would agree with, how would I define it? I would start by saying that I don't like the word spiritual because it implies a spirit. But with that caveat out of the way, how would I define spiritual? I don't know. It's not really a word that I use very often, but I suppose any system of practice, whether that's contemplative, devotional, analytical, or even just like practical, that is aimed towards a kind of growth, possibly with some view towards the transcendental or non-dual. I'm not a materialist, or at least I don't think I am, mostly because I'm not really willing to say that the mind itself is physical. Although I think I am probably happy to say that even if the mind is immaterial, which it may very well be, because we don't really understand what the mind is. Sorry, I'm just kind of concentrating on this because there's a couple of quite hard monsters here that were rare. Even if it's immaterial, it does appear to supervene upon the material, in much the same way that a magnetic field is itself immaterial, but it appears to supervene upon the material. So I think that might be called physicalism rather than materialism. Do I have a guess on the nature of the mind? No, other than to say, much like everything else, it seems to arise in dependence upon conditions. You know what? Let's. I don't know if you want to join. If you do, I'll have to put some headphones on. But You're welcome up if you want to. We can actually talk rather than you're welcome. Me responding to your comments in chat. Although, or we can carry on doing that as well. I'm easy either way. So, do I have a guess on the nature of the mind? Other than to say, all right, someone he has. Let me put my headphones. Hang on a sec. Hi, re-examination. How's it going?
It's good. How are you? Okay.
Yeah,
well, how about this? Good to see you. We'll do that. We'll do that.
I mean, I'm kind of distracting myself with video games at the moment, so
Understood.
superficially, that's enjoyable. Although I must admit, there's a part of me that is just kind of thinking, oh, this is actually just a complete waste of time.
Well,
which I suppose is part of the point, maybe. But
I mean, let me put it to you this way: it's very tempting to be like, well, everybody else who's got a debate-style stream or a worldview-oriented stream is doing a video game. That looks fun. I'll do it too because it's relaxing and it's cheap content. Like even when I do live streams, I think my live streams would be better if I spent some time reading a book and then distilling what I've learned from the book into the live stream. Now I've done that in terms of things of the Bible I've already known, but that's I could know it better, I could know it deeper, and those are things that I lament in some way. However,
well, you don't need to lament it because it's a very easy thing to fix.
Oh yes, I agree. It's more about my character than it is about the possibility of it happening or my ability to do it. That's not the question. So, right. but yeah, dedication. But I can't bring myself to, at this point, take my channel and then look into the trend of content, and then one day it's like, oh, you know what? Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I mean, I tend not to play video games when I'm debating, mostly because
you're not Destiny.
Well, I'm not Destiny, and also it requires concentration. Like both of those things require concentration. If you're going to be good at either one of them, so it kind of like I have done it before. And generally what tends to happen is if it's something like VK, because I think I've actually played this game on VK before, what tends to happen is I'll either be focused on the game and so therefore won't be participating in the debate, or I'll be focused on the debate, so I'll have the game paused. But what I don't do is both at the same time. So,
right. It's like jungling boomerangs and painting at the same time. It's so forget about it. It's kind of amazing how Destiny can do that with Factorio, and Factorio, of course, is basically using your engineer brain and your math brain along with your design brain and your.
Yeah, although the thing with Factorio is that. I suppose it's a knowledge-based game. So once you know how to set up a certain process, especially if you're at the point of having blueprints, then it can be almost like you're not really thinking about what you're doing. You're just kind of doing it because it's what you need to do for the game. Yeah. I suppose it depends on how anally you play. I don't know how anal he is about ratios and whatnot.
Yeah, I just know he's set on his Unbleep America tour stuff. He's just like dead set on political goals right now.
Right.
But it's I've not paid attention to politics all that much, although I did get done watching Ryan Mullally's stream about the Supreme Court case in America on birthright citizenship, and he predicted that Trump is going to win on the temporary part, and he's going to lose on the illegal part. So illegally born babies, I will say, for lack of a better, more precise term, he predicts will probably still retain their citizenship, whereas temporary residents will not if they're born here.
Right, okay. I mean,
So that's his.
yeah, that seems to be an issue that concerns Americans quite a lot.
Yes.
Personally, I couldn't give two wet shits. I don't have an opinion on birthright citizenship. I don't know if we have a similar concept over here.
I would say ask the BNP, but they're gone now. So,
well, yeah, but the BNP were racist fuckwits.
absolutely. I just
yeah.
remember when that was a thing, and then the cover got blown right off of that thing. I was like, oh, that's disgusting.
Well, I don't think it was ever. I mean, I think people in the UK always knew that the BNP were racist fuckwits. Like, I don't think it was a secret.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Well, let's put it this way. From the little dribs and drabs we got in America, at first it looked like, defending national security and identity and all that kind of stuff that was not necessarily explicitly racist or race-based. But then when certain things came out, it was like beyond denial, to anybody who had 5 seconds to look at it. So glad.
Well, I think I think when you have groups of skinheads wondering who are affiliated with your organization, wandering around beating up minorities just because they're minorities, like, it's difficult to get away from accusations of racism.
Right. And I don't know about the UK as much, although what I've heard about, oh gosh, who was that Labour guy, the old guy, white hair.
Well, I mean, that could be any of them.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the main guy. Oh my gosh, I used to know UK politics.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes. The horseshoe theory with him and shall we say the Uden. It comes across on both sides of the extreme, and so I work with a guy who is a leftist for sure at one of my jobs, and we can still talk as human beings and intellectuals, and we have, like, he's basically a Satanist, and he knows.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not using that loosely. He actually has satanic. Anyway, yeah. So
I mean, on my view, Satanists are just a type of Christian.
In my view, Satanists are a type of atheists. They just like to troll Christians with
maybe
theology.
Well, isn't that Luciferians, which I think is.
In my understanding, there's two kinds of Satanists. There's the ones that literally, consciously, intentionally worship Satan, unironically, and there are those who are ironically, although albeit consequentially, worshiping Satan or LARPing as such just to get a rise out of Christians.
Right. Okay.
So, where was I going with that? Anyway, both of us agree that those on our side, ostensibly, who hate the Uden are a problem.
Who hate the what?
The Hebrews, the Israelites.
You can say Jews. I don't hate Jews, but
right. The reason I'm avoiding it is because there was a stream of mine that got shut down, and the only reason I could think it got shut down, there's two reasons, right? Number one, it was criticizing Andrew. And it like even tangentially, I wasn't even showing any of the footage, but I was going over the comments in Andrew's and mine debate on divorce and remarriage, and then I had like 20 simultaneous viewers, which for me is big at that time. And then
when you say it got shut down, what was the reason?
No reason, no strike alert, nothing. Just the stream ended on the YouTube. It kept going on X and Twitch. Stream ended on YouTube and was pulled out of my library. So all my stats gone, all the gains gone, all the algorithmic candy gone. And then the next live stream I did, also just gone for some reason. So I wondered if there had been some not the Crucible and not Andrew, calling in some kind of squad, but just probably some Andrew fans who are not, a little upset with me with my thought that
Right.
maybe they did something. I have no proof. I'm just saying that it's mysterious to get 2 live streams in a row pulled, no warning, no
Well,
strike, no notification.
I would contact YouTube because maybe it's an error. Maybe it's just like some kind of glitch that's hit your channel, and they can sort it out. Because generally, if YouTube are going to take a video down, they'll at least send you an email saying we are removing this video either because it's got a copyright strike or because it breaches terms of service.
Right. Well, I just went around sneakily, and because I got no notification, I just re-uploaded what was stored on my streaming service, and then and they checked, and it got checked, and it went through. So maybe I will reach out to YouTube and see if I can get all that, so I can get my stats back and everything.
Yeah.
And give them the days. But anyway,
or at least like if there was something wrong, you could get them to tell you what the issue is with the video.
Right.
And,
so that's
if it's copyright, then it's just fair use, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, if it was copyright, it should have got caught in the scanning when I uploaded the file. You'd think.
If it's a copyright strike, you will get a notification, and you'll get because that's a legal action. Mm-hmm. So, and I think copyright strikes aren't automated. Someone has to actually file it. So if it's a copyright strike and it hasn't come from Andrew, I'd maybe get in touch with Andrew and then get in touch with YouTube with Andrew, or at least get something from Andrew in writing saying that he doesn't mind you reviewing the video under kind of fair use conditions.
Yeah. So
because I think Andrew would be up for that, right?
So here's the deal. I don't know. Oh, I'm sure there's a guy named Birds Aren't Real who said that Andrew said live that he's no longer allowing people to use clips or no longer allowing people to review videos, something along those lines. And again, I have no proof of that either. That's just hearsay as far as I know. But I haven't reached out, haven't contacted. But the first stream that got taken down was actually not me reviewing a video from his channel, but it was me reviewing the comments from that video, because a lot of people have an understanding of divorce and remarriage from the Bible that I believe needs to be corrected. And so I wasn't even like reviewing footage. It was just the comment section.
Right.
So I don't know if, and seeing as he's not, in charge of YouTube, the comment section doesn't technically fully belong to the Crucible, I would think. It would be a public YouTube space. My understanding.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Well, yeah,
they have moderating powers, but they wouldn't have
each individual commenter would own the intellectual property that their comment is.
Right, and they could. Oh, am I missing something in chat?
No. I'm just kind of no. I was just highlighting Crafty Cat saying hello, but that's not what I was laughing at. I was just kind of laughing at the idea of people copywriting their comments.
Right.
Seems kind
of LOL.
Similar.
I would like to submit my LOL to the U.S. Copyright Office. Nobody take this LOL from me.
Well, I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could copyright individual terms. Otherwise, I'd like to copyright the word "the."
Some word.
Well, I think you can copyright phrases, can't you?
It depends. For example, Paris Hilton America tried to copyright or trademark the phrase "that's hot." And that's of course way too broad to
yeah.
Because then you burn yourself on the stove and then it's over. You're in the hole for like $17 million or something. Anyway,
what entered into public domain recently?
I know Mickey Mouse at one point, Winnie the Pooh, but
Batman.
Batman.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But the really early version of Batman. So
Are
you can't.
we talking even pre West, even pre Adam West Batman?
Oh yeah. Comics.
Yeah.
So no Bat gadgets, no Robin, no Joker.
Right. When it's just Batman, beating up the local jewel thief, and that's his worst villain.
Well, I suppose you could invent a new villain. I mean,
Right. Yeah. The local dog thief, even better. So, but yeah, let's see. Where did my line of questionings begin here?
what did I think the nature of the mind was?
Yeah, the nature of the mind, and like what category of real you would put the mind in. And you would say, I think where you're getting at is I don't know, and I'm satisfied not knowing. Is that fair?
Yeah, although I do have some sympathy with certain idealist views. Not so much that the view that everything is mind, like that seems to me to be a stretch, or at least that would require justification. But certainly the view that like I think I have some sympathy with the view that the only thing that I can know to be true beyond any shadow of a doubt is that I have a mind, and then the rest is just guesswork. Like,
so are you saying that you are sympathetic to soft solipsism?
no, because I tend to assume that other people also have minds. Like I think that's a reasonable inference to make, because I'm not going to go down the brain in a vat route, because I don't really see how that helps me. But it's like, I suppose, other than the fact that I have a mind that is capable of having experiences, everything else, every other claim that I make is kind of provisional. And some claims, I can make with a fairly high degree of certainty. So I could say that I'm 99.999999999 recurring percent certain that you exist in America or wherever you are, and that you are similarly sitting at a computer or on your phone, and that we are having a conversation. Like, so I suppose it's somewhat Bayesian, perhaps, but
define Bayesian for me and the kids.
It's a type of, I haven't looked into it very much, but it's a type of method of evaluating knowledge claims based on the probability that the claim is going to be true. So rather, like, so you might say, well, okay, I'm like, 70% certain of fact X. Yeah.
So when you say experiences, able to have experiences, do you consider the thoughts that occur within your own mind a kind of experience, or is that different?
Yeah, I tend to adopt the Buddhist view, which I don't often articulate because it sounds a bit wacky, but in that I treat the mind as like a sense organ that perceives mental objects in the same way that the eye perceives visual objects. So your mind perceives the thoughts and feelings and emotions and intentions that rise and fall within it.
I'm curious. So T-Jump tomorrow is going to have an open panel debate on moral realism. He wants to debate against the idea that God is the grounding for moral realism, but he himself is an atheistic moral realist who believes that morals are emergent from matter.
Morals are emergent from matter.
Correct. Correct.
I mean, that sounds interesting. Although, like, when he says morals are emergent from matter, does that mean that he's making a claim to some kind of metaphysical objectivity?
Yes, which how do I put this? The way he put it to me, because I actually fun story. I actually ran into him in public once, and we had a very fast paced mini debate, even though it was very friendly, and I got to take a selfie with him. The way it sounded like is matter is like primary, like the material is primary, and as a result of that, there is a it seems to emanate the rules of morality seem to emanate or are intrinsic to matter, so as that what we experience materially and how the way the universe works confers absolute morals or moral absolutes of their own. I don't know how exactly it works.
Like saying that morals arise from matter kind of seems trivially true. Like, of course it does. The universe has to exist. Beings have to exist in order for... Right, but it seems like, because the argument that he's saying, if he's saying that morals arise from matter, then it means that, like, does that mean that there's a that I don't know, say the sun shining has some kind of moral quality to it?
No, I can't speak for him. My response to that would be that the sun or sunshine and radiation are not moral agents. But how?
Well, yeah,
I can say it. Yeah. So they themselves are not moral agents. They themselves have no.
Right.
The only exception I might make is if you said that the sun does and all its rays do not belong to God, then you have by proxy of what you have, how you have regarded the sun. Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think through, like that. Can you DM me the time, or where that debate is happening? Because I'd be interested in hearing this argument that morals are objective because they're kind of tied to matter in some way. Because that means even if you say it's just tied to action, well, like what does that say about animals that predate upon each other?
Right. So I'm pretty sure he's not a vegan. So I think he gives some kind of ontological separation between humanity and animals. I wish I knew how his whole thing works because I didn't have a whole lot of time, and I have reached out to him here and there, but I don't. He will say hasn't seen my attempts. Let me find it for you because it's going to be tomorrow night in America.
East, what time EST? I can work it out from EST, I think.
Yeah, so 9:15. Wait, shoot, 8:15. Sorry, 8:15. I'm gonna get you the link right now.
Okay, that's 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh dear, 1:15.
Yeah. Let me. Gosh, where's the private? There's a private chat. Okay. So it's going to be on Sarah Tomato's stream. I was just very interested because that's like something. Not only I would be interested in being in that discussion, but I can't because I work both jobs that day, unless I come as a really late participant. But I would also be extremely interested in hearing you and him discuss and hash that out, just because of your position.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do you think he'd be up for talking to me? Like, I'm not exactly a big.
It's an open panel. So you can just hop.
All right. Okay. Yeah, it'd be quite good to throw some Mackie at him.
Oh, your queerness.
Yeah. I do like that argument because mostly because I haven't I mean. Like I do present the argument quite often, and generally what tends to happen is it gets completely ignored. No one ever really addresses the metaphysical and epistemic queerness of objective morality.
Yeah. So before we get into that, and I'm not trying to ignore it, but you caught my
Right.
attention because many times people have accused me of saying things that are trivially true, and it's never stuck to me in my rubric of detecting trivially true statements or allegedly trivially true statements. Could you give me
Sure.
a
Like,
format to understand what trivially true means so I don't fall into that necessarily again?
it's like something is trivially true and therefore uninteresting if you were to make an assertion which is like so fundamentally basic, like for example, if you were to like say make like try and argue that humans need to breathe in order to survive, and that you can't breathe underwater, so therefore you shouldn't submerge oneself underwater and weigh oneself down with rocks. It's like philosophically that's not very interesting to discuss because it's like trivial. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, you like
Non-controversial.
people need to, yeah, like people need to breathe. So what, you know, like what you're trying to say. And so I suppose if T Jump is saying that morals, whatever he's arguing that morals are, arise out of matter, to me that seems trivially true because, well, yes, you can't have morals without the universe being present.
Right, but you
Like,
probably using a different definition to affirm that statement of morals than he would. Because
well, I mean, I suppose I'd get into what he means by morals because I'd probably start arguing that what he's arguing for doesn't in fact exist. Yeah. So that's where I would probably differ from him. And it also depends on what he means by objective, like because if he means metaphysically objective, like fundamental to the structure of the universe, I would take issue with that. But if he just means that it's instrumentally objective in some way, then I wouldn't necessarily take issue with that. Like, so if he's going to argue that morals are a kind of product of evolution that we have developed in order to help genes like survive throughout generations, say because humans seem to develop better in stable societies, right? Like, I wouldn't necessarily have an argument with that, but then that's not saying that morality is metaphysically objective because it's contingent upon evolution.
Yeah, it's what if he means it in a way that it is deterministically necessary because of the way that mathematics and physics works. It is inevitable that you're going to, no matter what, get those kinds of functions because of the unraveling of the physics equation of the Big Bang, the universe, all that stuff.
He would need to substantiate that with actual mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would be like in order for me to accept that, I would need him to walk me through the equation.
Yeah, I get that. So here's one thing. I talk about alleged stuff. This is a little bit funny. I was reading up on him and how his position worked, and there was a wiki out there that included criticisms of him. And again, I didn't see this quote, but I thought it was funny when somebody was in a debate with him, and he, I think at one point, used a goal-oriented ethic in terms of like, right. So you understand that. And then,
yeah, and that would be instrumentally objective.
Perhaps, yeah. But it's weird because he says he's a moral realist, which I don't usually take to be the instrumental camp of things, but perhaps it is, and I just need it clarified for me. But here's what happened. His opponent said to him, so if a rock is preventing me from achieving my goal, then that rock is immoral. And he said yes.
Right. Okay. That's like that's I mean, he would need to demonstrate that The Rock is, one, acting, and two, capable of acting otherwise.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he can demonstrate that.
No.
Either
All
of
right.
those two things.
All right. Okay. I've exhausted that for a little bit, but I wanted to throw that out to you because within the link I gave you, he also provides an opening statement and a basis for going forward. But he aims it at theists. But again, I'm sure you'd be interested in that discussion, even though it would have you sipping your tea up late if you do tea at all. But all right. Back.
Okay, so that's after. So there's an interview for the first hour, right? Okay.
I don't. No. What I'm saying is, within the link I gave you, there's already a prompt that he's defining his terms and setting expectations. So there's a video in that link. So you don't have to.
Is that okay? So there's the Church of the Best Possible Worlds. No, that's not. Okay, have you found a magic? Okay, right. Yeah, I am seeing a video with him on there. Okay, I'll check that out.
Yeah. All right. Theory of queerness. Now, let's just go from scratch. Let's just go from scratch from the argument from queerness.
Right.
Oh, just go ahead and explain for me and the kids at home.
Oh, right. Okay. Sure. If you're going to claim that morality is metaphysically objective, then you're claiming that actions have the properties of ought to be done and ought not to be done, which would make it would make actions very odd, because they would be the only phenomenon in the universe that have those properties. So that's a problem. That's a metaphysical problem. The epistemic problem is that if actions have this quality of either ought to be done or ought not to be done, then we would need to have some faculty by which we could detect and evaluate that property. Mm-hmm. And we don't seem to have such a faculty other than our own reasoning. So like that would make them epistemically odd as well. So you have two forms of like queerness: the metaphysical queerness and the epistemic queerness.
Interesting. Does this argument also contain intent as an action?
No. Well, I haven't. Maybe I haven't finished the book. My reading has stalled since. Since
yeah, you're doing other stuff right now.
Yeah, so and so one of the books that I was reading was Mackey's Ethics, Inventing Right and Wrong, where he kind of spells out what he calls error theory, because his view is that there are no objective values, and that people who make moral statements such as murder is wrong, they are making statements that are truth apt. That is, they can either be true or false, but they just happen to be false.
Okay.
So he differs from Ayer, who has a different sort of anti-realism.
Yeah. So I think you probably already figured the reason I'm asking is because within the biblical ethic, it's not so much what you do, but why you do it. That's the
same. It's the same in the Buddhist ethic as well. Intent is what determines ultimately whether a given action is ethical or unethical.
Yeah. Now, I think there are some things that are inextricably linked, like the intent is inextricably linked from the action. For example, like SA. Like that's an easy one. So But that's a whole other thing. And of course, again, the biblical ethic, intent is like 10th commandment is you shall not covet, which involves no action, no force, nothing like that whatsoever. And so it goes to
Well,
like the heart of the issue. So I was wondering if that would also be in his rubric, but it sounds like it would be in a later chapter than what you've gotten to.
yeah, maybe. I mean, I think I'm not sure if he's including states of mind as moral actions. Maybe he'll get into that, but I think he would like maybe make the same kind of argument, right? Like if you're going to argue that, say, anger is intrinsically unethical, then that means that you're assigning these two qualities of ought to be done or ought not to be done to emotional states as well as actions. And I suppose intent as well, like, would be another thing where we have an ought to be done and ought not to be done, which isn't an issue. It isn't an issue if you're not arguing for metaphysical objectivity of morals. Like if you're arguing for some sort of instrumental objectivity, which is what I argue Buddhist ethics are, because they're a means to an end. They're not a means that they're not an end themselves. Yeah, like it's not an issue, but arguing that things are metaphysically necessary, I think you then kind of have more of a justificatory burden.
Interesting. Real quick aside before we get right back to it, I'm just curious. Does your branch of Buddhism include the Eightfold Path, or do all branches of Buddhism include the Eightfold Path?
I mean, I wouldn't like to say all, because maybe there's going to be some odd sect here or there that doesn't. But certainly the vast majority. But it could be that, like, the Noble Eightfold, I mean, because the Noble Eightfold Path is the fourth noble truth, so it's a fairly kind of and the Four Noble Truths are a formula, but it's a fairly well-known expression of that formula, so much so that it's often mistaken for a doctrine, often by people who should know better. But
well, if you're talking about Westerners, I mean,
yeah,
I include myself in this, are probably not going to perceive what you're getting at, and maybe it's just not meant to be perceived in the same way. Maybe it's more
well, no, I'm talking about like people who write books about Buddhism who claim that the Four Noble Truths are a doctrine when they're not. They're a formula that can be applied to any conditioned phenomena.
Yeah. So when you say formula,
so it's the Four Noble Truths of suffering, right? You've got the first noble truth is dukkha, or suffering, although I think unsatisfactoriness is a better translation of dukkha. But you've got dukkha, then you've got the second noble truth, which is the cause of dukkha, which is craving, and then the third noble truth, which is that there's a way out of dukkha, and then the fourth noble truth, which is the path that leads from dukkha, right? But if you could apply that to anything, you could say have the Four Noble Truths of hunger. So you got the first noble truth, which is hunger exists, right? The second noble truth of hunger would be the cause of hunger, which is lack of food. And then the third noble truth is that there's actually a way out of hunger. And then the fourth noble truth would be the path that leads to the way out of hunger, which is to eat some food. So it's a formula, right? Like,
so interesting. Would you say that? So it's a formula in the sense that if you want, say, a recipe for biscuits, you just follow the recipe, but it's not a yes or a no, true or false, right or wrong. It's just this is the formula for biscuits, period, right?
No, it's a formula in the sense that you can you can take out, like if you make suffering a variable, then you can take that variable out and swap it in with a different variable, and then the formula still works. It just comes up with a different result. So it's a bit like, think of it in terms of like programming. I don't know if you've
Mathematical proof,
done,
maybe.
no, if you've ever done any programming
I am
or web development, or
I'm rudimentally familiar with programming
like,
language,
so
but extremely
like so you could have like some little function that takes in a variable that you kind of feed it at the time that the function runs, right? And then depending on what the variable is, you could output different, you could like return different results, right? So it's a bit like that. It's a bit like an equation where dukkha is just a variable, and then you can substitute dukkha. And but because like the Buddha talked about the Four Noble Truths of dukkha, it's kind of turned into this doctrine, like, but that's a mistake. Anyway.
And by doctrine, you mean like a dogma or an ought? Is that what you're saying is the problem
Well,
with what's been done?
In Buddhism, you get two broad categories of teaching. So one is doctrinal, where the Buddha is saying, look, this is the way things are, right? And then you've got the other broad category is methodological, where he's saying, look, if you want to see how things are for yourself, this is how you do that. And I think the Four Noble Truths I would probably class under method, because of the fourth noble truth, right, which is how do you get out of suffering, and then the Noble Eightfold Path is the method.
In Buddhism, is it taught that suffering is not desirable, or is it just for those who want it? It is out there.
So there's two, right? So in Buddhism, what's taught is that you have sense contact with the world, right? And then in dependence upon sense contact, you have feeling, right? And that could be pleasant or painful. And then shit, I've lost my train of thought. It's because I'm smoking a spliff.
Oh yeah. So my question was, does Buddhism teach that suffering is undesirable?
Right. Okay. So, right. So then is it yes, suffering being the emotional response to painful feeling tone, but suffering is also the kind of first step on what's kind of often called the kind of like 12 steps leading to enlightenment. Because when you realize, oh, life is unsatisfactory, like this is, a type of suffering, then in like you have faith arising, assuming you've come into contact with the Buddhist teachings, that you can escape the suffering through practice, and then you, in dependence upon that faith, you start to practice. But faith in Buddhism is slightly different to Christianity. It's not like a blind belief. It's more like a provisional trust.
I would contest that the blind belief thing is also not true with Christianity, although it's been presented that way by many flippant people. But I'm not here for that today. I'm more like trying to understand, because I don't talk to many Buddhists very often, so we don't have to get into the how faith exactly works. You can read Romans chapter 1, or you can read Hebrews 11 if you want in your own time, but I'm sure you already have. Um. Anyway, I guess what I'm getting at is, what does Buddhism say that when I hear about like suffering, what comes
Hmm.
to mind with me is a thing that ought not be or is not part of an ideal world that falls short of a standard of the way things should be. And I think that
Right.
the attempt to escape from it seems like a confirmation in my mind for that idea. So in Buddhism understanding, where does suffering originate from, or is it a
It
constant
it
internal reality?
it originates from thwarted craving. So, right. So like, because that's what the Four Noble Truths. That's what that formula is saying, right? Like it's saying suffering exists. That's the first noble truth, and then the second noble truth, because the second truth in that formula is the cause, right? And so what Buddhism teaches is that the cause of all your suffering is your craving, and so but it differentiates, like Buddhism would differentiate between pain, like say if you break your leg, and suffering, and it would say that suffering is the emotional response to pain, but you don't have to have that emotional response because
Let me
you
let me
can
clarify my
retrain your
question.
mind. Go on.
I don't mean like in the individual, what is the cause? I mean like what is the ultimate cause in terms of like why
The
does it exist at all? Like if I say if you ask me why does suffering exist, I would say sin, and sin
right.
mankind began in the
No,
Garden of Eden. That
because we seem to have evolved bodies that can experience pain, and we seem to have developed minds that that have an emotional response to that pain.
do you see the suffering as an expression of a lack of something that ought be there and is not? Or do you see the suffering itself as
Yeah.
something that ought be there?
When you say ought, what like like the question doesn't seem to make any sense. Like I
Sure.
have painful hips, right? So like because I've got osteoarthritis, so walking can be very painful. Um,
Right.
but so there's two ways that I can respond to that. I can either respond with aversion, where I don't want the painful experience to be happening, and that's generally quite unpleasant, right? Or I can respond with a sort of um, uh, spacious acceptance, like, well, this is what my body is doing right now, so I just like I just need to survive this moment. And what I've found is that sometimes my experience of the physical pain transforms, and like I become bigger on the inside, and so the like and so even though I'm in physical pain, I wouldn't like if you were to ask me in those instances, are you suffering? I would say no, because I'm not having a kind of response of aversion to the feeling tone.
Okay, so the feeling remains, but
I'm, I'm
you don't understand that as a lacking of sorts. Is that accurate?
um, yeah, I understand it as something that happens in your hips when you get osteoarthritis. Like,
Sure. Well, let's put this a different way. This might be a term that does not agree with your worldview syntax, but I'll just put it out there
right,
and see how you react to it. So
sure,
if you say somebody has a medical disorder, disorder is, I think, a comparative term to a mental order in which a way something the way it ought to be in my mind. So, for example,
right, yeah, yeah,
right. So in my rubric, God made the world a certain way. He made it very good, and sin
right,
has eaten away and corroded the good things that God has made. So now we have disease and disorder and all kinds of crazy crap. And
right,
so that's that's my understanding. So when you hear like mental disorder, you would say that there's not a. Would you say that there's not an ideal versus a fallen state? Would you say that there's just the way things are, and there's no ought in terms of how my body should be, how my thoughts should be, how there's
Right.
nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that was quite a lot of questions there.
I'm
To
sorry.
the first
Take all the time
one,
you
I
need.
would, yeah. To the first one, yes, I would say that there is no fallen state. Um, um, in terms of, do I think that my body ought to be a certain way? No, I don't think so, because that would imply that there's a standard that's being set somewhere. Like, so I mean, you could say, like, do I think my body ought to be a certain way according to the social contemporary conventions? And I might argue yes, but that's not what you're really talking about, is it? You're talking about whether there's like some kind of metaphysical ought.
A metaphysical ought that results in a physical normative, if you will. If I can use that term loosely.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Like, because like under my worldview, there's no kind of agent setting the standards, and so any oughts that arise are a product of our own minds.
See, that's interesting to me because when we employ logic, for example, I would say that we are inferring that there is a congruency between our minds and the way the universe works, unless our minds
Right.
are not working, a word I would use, properly, as in there
Right.
is a proper way that our minds would work, also presupposing that it's supposed to interface with reality. And so when we would say to somebody, you're using a fallacy, it would seem that we are trying to correct their thinking and put it back on the right path.
Okay. So so like on the Buddhist view, there is an ultimate truth, but it's non-conceptual and it's non-dual.
Is it made of matter? I'm sorry, I don't have a category for this that I'm aware of.
It involves matter, certainly, but it's like any, like I'm if you're to ask me what sort of Buddhist are you, I would probably say I'm a Madhyamaka, in that I tend to align myself with the Madhyamaka school, which was founded by Nagarjuna in the 2nd century CE, and he taught something called emptiness. So his view was that because all phenomena appear to arise in dependence upon conditions, we can't say that anything has intrinsic existence, because if you do, then that leads to logical issues. Because obviously if something has intrinsic existence, it means that it can't arise and it can't end. So it would have to be eternal. But it also wouldn't be able to interact with the causal web. So it wouldn't be able to produce any effects.
Well, what if it had a will?
Right. Then you still need to explain how it interacts with the causal web. Because you have something that's acausal. So, but the thing about Nagarjuna, what I find quite interesting is that because he essentially argues that you can make statements that are conventionally true, right? So if you've got two people and they're looking at a river, One could say to the other one, that is a river. And the second one could say, yes, I agree, that is a river. And what they're saying is true as a matter of convention, right? Because we have determined that that particular type of phenomena of water flowing through a course is a river, right?
Yeah.
But you're not saying anything like so. But Nagarjuna's view is that when we're doing that, what we're doing is we're imputing concepts upon phenomena, and the danger from his view is reifying those imputations into something with substance, so that when we say the word river in our minds, we're thinking of something concrete. And on his view, that's a mistake. But he even turns like his own argument, like he uses this method called the tetralemma, which is you get quite a lot in Indian logic, which is like
I'll be honest. You're going forward, and you're saying a lot of good things, or I'm saying a lot of interesting things. I'll say, but as soon as you said causal web, I got stuck. Not
right?
no pun intended. And I was like, okay, so we're differentiating the ultimate truth from the causal web as if the causal web existed separately from the
Right.
truth,
Yeah.
or was
No.
a
Okay.
necessary
Yeah.
law, parallel law. So
No.
that's the thing I found interesting. I could not shake. So I got to admit, I've been zoning out.
No. They're actually not separate. The difference is in our perspective. So Nagarjuna argues like form is emptiness, and emptiness is form.
Okay, that's a new one for me.
Have you heard the Heart Sutra?
I have not.
Like,
but let me just interject very quickly before I listen to you. I would say there is a way in the Christian worldview to say that the causal web is. I don't want to make it into some kind of panentheism or pantheism of nothingness and God. But what I do want to say is that God's decrees are the causal web. God's will is the causal web for the manifestation of His designs and desires. That's all I'm going to say. So go ahead.
It's important to note that on the Gartner's view, causal web isn't a thing with a concrete existence. It's just a way of describing the world.
Fair enough. But the way you phrased it, what it sounded like was some kind of physics that coexisted alongside something that was ontologically.
Well, he's saying that like when he's saying like form is emptiness, he's saying, well, look, say like if we take an object, say like a car, right? And we look at the car, like, well, where in the car is the carness? Like if we take the car apart into its constituent like component pieces, right? Is the car contained within any of those individual pieces?
Oh, I totally understand what you're saying, but here's why I make the difference. It reminds me of when X was all ablaze with, what is a woman? And there were whole things about like, well, the left would say, well, what is a table? What is a chair? What is a sandwich? All this kind of stuff. But the difference would be, in my view, I see all those things as human convention, sandwich, harness. Those are things that are up for redefinition because they're not founded upon concepts that come from a transcendental eternal mind. And so
so is man and woman. Look, see, when like it's interesting you brought the kind of trans debate up, because for a couple of years now, I've been like, I kind of largely avoid trans debates largely because my view is that both sides are deluded. So when a trans person says I'm a woman, and they mean that they are intrinsically a woman in some way, my response would be, no, you are wrong. But similarly,
they're both wrong because they're both using definitions. Absolutely. Is that what you're saying?
When a biological woman says I'm a woman and she means something intrinsic, like, to me, she's making the exact same fucking mistake as the trans person is doing, i.e. reifying an identity into something like with substance. Like, to me, it
Really
seems
quick
like
define
both sides.
really quick define reifying, because in my view, reifying is to give human qualities or consciousness qualities to that which does not have it such. That's my understanding.
No. It means to make it like something that's abstract more concrete or more real than it is.
So my understanding,
Like, so what you're talking about is anthropomorphization, when we give human qualities to things that aren't human.
Yeah. So the example I had heard about reification was the science says, and it's, I don't know if you ever had those toys as a kid where you have a wheel and an arrow in the middle, you pull a lever,
Right.
and it's like the donkey says, and then and so people will say the science says when science doesn't say anything. Science doesn't have
Yeah. That's a brilliant example of reification. Yeah.
Right.
So
I misunderstood when you say concrete. I took it to be similar enough to see. I don't think of. I don't
like yeah, because
what
what people are doing there is taking the words the science, which is referring to a broad range of methods, the majority of which probably aren't applicable to what this individual is talking about, and then reify, like turning it into this kind of thing that then has to be contended with, like this kind of object. Yeah, like. But like we do that with ourselves, right? Like so that's on the Buddhist view, that kind of process of taking something abstract and making it more concrete is.
And you're using the word self loosely in this point, of course.
The kind of sense of identity that we have.
All right, so back to your point on women, please go ahead.
Back to my point on women.
The identity of women, reification.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just like from the whole trans debate thing is like, it seems to me a bit of a huge red herring, which is why, I mean, I guess for trans people, it's probably really important that they have those debates. And I'm guessing for the opposing side, it seems really important. But it seems to me like both sides are basically making ontological and epistemological claims, and then assigning a kind of moral value to holding an opposing ontological or epistemological claim. And I find that a bit odd.
Here's what I want to do, and what I want to do is ask you about odd. When you say odd, so
I mean off-putting. I don't like
off-putting. So personally, but not prescriptively out of sorts.
Yeah. Like so. For example, like with trans people, if someone says I'm a trans man or woman or whatever, or non-binary, then I'll, try and accommodate their gender expression, largely because I'm kind of English and we're sort of polite, but mostly because I sort of don't care. Like, it makes no difference to me. But at the same time, it's like if a trans person were to say to me, you have to refer to me by this term, I would give them the finger. Because there's a difference between like asking me to accommodate something within them and then demanding that I accommodate something within them. And like the difference for me is philosophical, because I think when a trans person is saying, like, say you've got a trans woman who says, I know that I am a woman, like they're making a claim, like an epistemic claim, right? Because they're saying that they know something. and then they're making an ontological claim because they're making a claim about their state of being. But I don't know. No one ever seems to really pick up on that. They get lost in the weeds of whether they're a woman or not.
Well, let's put you in a third-person perspective then. Let's say you're witnessing one way or the other. Let's say it's the Christian saying, "Then come to Christ," or that it's a trans person saying, "You ought to address me by your pronouns." And in one case, the Christian is saying that would offend my conscience before God, and in the other case, the trans person might say that is very offensive to what I hold dear and what I think is true of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel equally perturbed or differently perturbed?
I mean, I think I feel less perturbed by a Christian saying you ought to repent and come to Christ, because it's like you can certainly within this kind of context, because to me that just seems like an invitation to discuss who Christ was and whether God is real or not. And then even if he is real, why does that mean that we ought to worship him? With the trans person, it seems to me like they're making much more of a power move, or they're making much more of an authoritarian move. And I kind of resist it when people try and exert authority over me because I'm a bloody-minded bastard.
Now, are you saying that because of the political climate and the kind of social leverage they have at the present time? Or are you saying that intrinsic to the ideology, it is that?
Maybe both. Like, it does seem to be like the case that trans people, and there seems to be the same with gay people as well, for the most part. Like, they seem to want to make people accept them in very specific ways. And it's like, unlike, say, the kind of Christian who says you ought to repent and come to Jesus, like, the Christian is unlikely to try and get your channel shut down if you say something against Christianity, whereas if you say something about how rabid trans nut jobs can be, then and then a trans nut
for your school.
Watch out for your local school. Yeah, right. Like
now you know what's going to happen is my channel's going to get shut down.
What are you live at the moment?
Oh, I'm not live there. No, I kind of wish I was, but and I would definitely, if you, with your permission, repost what I would call an interview. If with your permission on my channel.
Oh yeah, I don't care. Yeah.
But no, that's interesting. I would also add that in the case of the Christian, they're actually saying spend eternity in redemptive joy with me, whereas the trans person is like spend the rest of your natural life, doing what I say.
But it's like saying, like you say, spend eternity in redemptive joy. But I sort of feel like even if I were to suddenly start believing in God tomorrow, let's say I get kicked in the head by a horse.
Oh, thanks. See, this goes right back. This goes right back to my point about correct thinking. So, thank you very much for complimenting my argument. See, I would argue that presupposes my argument. My good.
That joke is actually from. Let me play it. In fact, I'm not going to spoil it. Well, I suppose I've already spoiled it. But that comes from a in the UK. There's a politician called Nigel
Farage.
Yeah, who is a bit of a clown. He seems to be popular with certain American conservative demographic, which is a bit odd, but
it's because he sticks it to the EU, and because he's more of a, is it fair to say he's a closed borders kind of guy?
yeah.
Is UKIP
All
even
right.
a thing anymore?
I don't think so. No. All right. This is where that joke comes from.
But sorry for Boris, Mark, or
Oh,
not?
hang on a minute. That's going through my through the speakers. Let me just put that through the headphones. Headphones. All right.
But sorry for Boris, Mark, or not?
That's where I've been for the last few years. I've got to say, I'm immensely grateful to you for everything you've done in British politics over the last few years. I used to be an ardent Remainer. I voted Remain. I believed in the European project. I believed that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened, and something monumental happened. It completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Good prank.
You gotta love it when people take the piss out of politicians. I don't think Americans do that nearly so much.
No. Okay. Do you remember Michael Bloomberg? He was running. He was a successful mayor of New York. He was a Democrat, and he was running for the nomination in the primary.
I mean, like I vaguely, like when you said mayor of New York, a little bell rang, but that's about it. Like,
yeah. So Michael Bloomberg,
because I don't really follow American politics. Yeah.
Right. So Michael Bloomberg was implementing a law enforcement technique called stop and frisk, which is basically how it sounds. Is you find somebody who's up to suspicious activity, or you have good reason to believe they're up to some criminal activity, you stop their car and you frisk them, and they actually deterred a lot of crime with that method. And
Right.
but among Democrats, they don't like that. The joke from Chris Plant is they like crime, basically. So there was one time, it was a socialist who came up to him and wanted to do a selfie. And so he holds up the phone, gets his hand behind Bloomberg's back and says, "Say stop and frisk." And then Michael Bloomberg goes, "Stop and frisk." Just falls right into it. So then he calls him a piece of, well, you know what. So
piece of shit. You can say piece of shit. It's fine.
It's not about YouTube, but anyway.
Are you being polite?
I
have noticed that some Americans, I mean, I'm guessing some English people are too, but they seem to be really squeamish about certain types of language use.
Right.
Like, especially if it's like swear words.
Correct.
Yeah.
But anyway,
whereas I just mostly use them for fucking emphasis.
Right.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Of course. So yeah. Anyway, we definitely dunk on politicians, but ever since the rise of Trump, we have politicians dunk on them anyway on social media. I mean, just the AI videos alone is just insane. The things he gets. I mean, my goodness. Teriak, I believe, showed me this video. No, it was Mo Rebuttal. He showed me this video where it was Donald Trump with a Japanese ambassador or somebody from the representative government, and he was sitting one-on-one with her in front of the press. And
right.
he had said something about surprises and surprise attack.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and you guys know all about surprises. You know, what is it, Pearl Harbor? You know, he just brings it right, and her jaw just drops to the floor.
I mean, that sounds like something that should be an AI video.
Right, but it's not. It's real life. And if life imitates art, what's happening next?
I mean, I don't know, but you know, I'll say one thing for Donald Trump. He is certainly a very entertaining president.
Yes. Only
I'm sure,
Rosie O'Donnell. It will never die.
Like, I mean, you know, I still don't think he's done anything quite as glorious as suggesting that people be injected with hydrochloroquine and UV light this time round. But
Yeah, I think there are people on the right who would have replies to whether or not that was the actual quote that he gave, but that's neither here nor there right now. Anyway, I've kind of lost my focus of the existential philosophical discussion, so I will politely bow out and thank you for your time. I'm sure I'll have more questions in the future.
All right, great. Well, thank you for joining. It was very pleasant.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
See you later. Oi. Well, I'm actually also going to make a cup of tea, so I'll be back in a minute. You can look at the pause screen. Right. I can probably get this off headphones now, seeing as all right, what are we doing? Am I fighting a boss? I think I'm fighting a boss, aren't I? He's quite tough. Oh, she's quite tough. Wait, no you don't, no you don't. Nice, okay. Just in time because the kettle's boiled. You misgendered your boss. Yeah. Right. Let's see what loot we've got. that give me? Plus 40 to maximum spirit. Oh, yes, please. Oh, nice. Oh, that's handy. And I get an uncut spirit gem. Well, that's good. I need spirit. Spirit's integral to my build. What's going on? Why have you frozen? Now, come on, game. Don't crash on me. I thought I was good. Speaking of spiritual. Right. So, yeah. That is going to be handy because a lot of my skills use spirit. So, and at the moment, one is turned off. So I've got these, like each of these uses 30 spirit. So if I turn you on now, how much have I got? 14 left. So that means I could probably... I don't know how much longer I'm going to... right, I need more intelligence. Oh, that could be good. That requires 30 spirit and 57 intelligence. My intelligence is 51. I'll level up soon. Might want to grab these. Which means I could get this for strength and this for strength as well. I might want this as well. I'll maybe go into chaos inoculation, because that would make me immune to chaos damage and bleeding. My maximum life would be 1. But then I think I could mix that with eternal youth, where my life, because the way it works is that no, that wouldn't work. That would be pointless. No. Battery something. Battery. Oh, that's way over there. All right, no, that's definitely not what I want. Another option is to go up here, grab this dual socket, and then maybe go up here for the increased energy shield. Life recharges instead of energy shield. Don't know about that, to be honest. I think maybe probably not. Could maybe go for Spectral Ward. Don't know if I want Shadow Dancing. Another option is to go down here for critical hit chance. And that gives me +10 to strength. That could be worth doing. Oh, that could be good. I got jewels that increase days. Don't know, maybe. Right, got stuff on me. Let's get this. Oh, I was going to head back, wasn't I? Right. Head back, dump this off. What tea? Yorkshire tea is my tea of choice. It's just like black tea. I can't do, or I could do this. Let me store it for now. What have I got in terms of gems? Spirit gem. I've got a level 13 spirit gem. Oh. Enter the glacial tarn. Okay. I'm guessing this is going to be icy.
The swarm never ends.
So the way this build works is it's a quarterstaff build. Those witches are really fucking annoying. And so the way it works is when I when I attack, if I freeze or pin an enemy, then this skill here, no, not that one. What's giving me the power charges? Something, I forget. What the hell? How am I generating power charges? That's interesting. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So, right. So this skill gives me power charges instead of frenzy charges. And then on my staff, I've got a skill gem called Combat Frenzy, which gives me a frenzy charge whenever I freeze, electrocute, or pin an enemy. And so what happens is I freeze an enemy, and I get a power charge. Well, I get a frenzy charge, and then this skill resonance converts it into a power charge. And then once I have a power charge, I can fire up charge staff, which uses power charges and turns my quarterstaff into like a laser shooting thing. Or I can use Flicker Strike, which my build isn't currently set up for Flicker Strike yet. Right, so and I'm probably not going to go down the Flicker Strike route, but that also uses power charges. So that's kind of how the build works. So that's what these two glowing things at the ends of my staff. That means that I'm on that charge staff is currently active. And then when I kill an enemy, all right, okay, we need to go in here. When I kill an enemy, I don't know if I'm going to retain the charge staff. No, okay. All right, so yeah, when I freeze an enemy, sorry, not kill, I'll get a power charge, which you can see that blue ball moving around me. That's a power charge, and that should give me. And then if I hit E, that powers up my staff. And then something else is this thing here, Unbound Fury, is a kind of specialization skill for the monk, for the Invoker monk, where when I trigger it, when it fills up to 100, I can trigger it. Almost there, 86. There we go. And that does like super amounts of elemental damage. Let's grab those. And I didn't mean to grab the bow, but never mind. I can sell it. Now this is a thing, when I do 6 of these, this kind of special dungeon will open up. And then I kind of like the monk because he's fast moving. You can get around the map quickly. So I'm using the ice attack at the moment quite a lot. The other one I've got is this, which is, it does more lightning based. And I think the ice is more reliable for generating power charges, but the lightning can be more reliable for clearing crowds. And then against bosses, I have like a magic bell that I can drop once I kind of build up enough combo, which is 4 hits generally. And then if I strike the bell, that does like increased amounts of damage. So that in combination with the elemental damage, it can melt bosses pretty quickly. Oh, that's...
I have no room for that.
Hmm. Yorkshire is a variety of black tea. Like Yorkshire tea is just a brand. Yeah, it's kind of popular in the UK. Okay, let's move you up here. All right, I'm going to need to sort through this loot. Hmm. All right, that's fine.
Foul creature.
Oh, hello. What have you got for me? Let's quickly do a level up. What am I doing? Yeah, you know what? I think we go here. We go strength. Oh shit, it was intelligence I wanted, wasn't it? Never mind. Strength will do. Strength gives me more hit points. Not much, but a few.
No mana.
It's a shame they nerfed the monk. During 0.2, the monk was like was filthy at high levels. You just clear maps instantly. That was fun. Okay.
I have no room for that.
My devotion, my lifetime of service. Has it really come to this? We got our way to this remote mountain like cowardly dogs, hiding our treason from our own ruler. To merely think such a project would mean death, since it implies we doubt her leadership. I hesitate to imagine what she will do to us, to my children, if she finds out we actually built it. There is only one way to ensure my children live on. I must send them into the vault without me. I will finish this task, then return to Atzoatl to play my part. Here then is my last accomplishment. After the vault, this simple carving, left for history, left for any who might survive. The queen is mad, and I hope she finds the immortality she seeks. May Yaumak deny her death's journey, so that we may finally be free of her.
Bit of lore there. To be honest, I don't actually really care about the story in this game. I'm sure it has one. I mean, it does have one. Events happen in the campaign.
Go on.
Good day, a pleasure.
Not all who wander find welcome. Never seen such a woeful misunderstanding of the spirit in all my days. Don't know what possessed her to think she would do in its work. Spirit never asked me to kill an innocent. And if it did, well, I'd have to question my own sanity. Don't feel good putting someone down. Don't lose any sleep over it. Truth is, a lot of people are dead because of her. And now, no more will be. After anything in particular? appreciate all
You know what? I kind of want.
Time to refocus.
Let's refund you. And I suppose we'll have to do all these. And let's go intelligence and intelligence. And then you can come back on, and it was you three, wasn't it? And then intelligence. And where are we at? 66. Let me see. All right, let's gamble. Target is not normal. All right, okay. All right, it needs to be normal. That's a shame. Can't I buy any? Has anyone got any for sale? What about you?
Good day. Try your luck.
No.
A pleasure.
Back again, eh?
That's pretty good.
Sharp eyes, steady hands.
Okay. I should have just fast traveled there. Never mind. What the hell? James just froze on me. What's going on? Is it undergoing maintenance or something? I don't understand. That's annoying. Let's see what Google is saying. Oh dear. Well, that's annoying. Alright, well I'm getting bored of failing to log into this game. I could play a different one maybe. Or I could end it here. It's not like there's anyone watching. So, yeah, thanks to Re-Examination for coming up. That was a good chat. Alright, bye.